Jeepies, I'm your host Sid, and welcome to another entry of Do Talking to Me's Scooby-Doo's Day. In today's vid, I'll be reviewing Scooby-Doo Where Are You Season 2, Episode 4, Scooby's Night with a Frozen Fright, aired on October 3rd, 1970.
I wonder where this Frozen Fright floated in from.
Before I go into my review, I should mention that Scooby's Night with a Frozen Fright is notorious for being featured in one of the Skooks videos.
What I want to know is where's the caveman?
Humorous re-edits of Scooby-Doo episodes by YouTuber Orpheus for the win.
Am I glad he's frozen in there and that we're out here?
Many moments from this episode have since become memes, and it's impossible for me to re-watch this episode without thinking of the dialogue in its re-edited form.
Scientists found this 2-million-year-old caveman in the Arctic.
Setting this aside, though, the episode itself is still pretty weird. A frozen caveman hauled on a freighter is lost at sea, and while the gang hangs out at the beach, Shaggy manages to recover the caveman while fishing.
We've got to get him to ocean land so scientists can put him in the cooler before he melts.
And they take the frozen Neanderthal to its destination, Ocean Land, an equivalent to SeaWorld where it'll be studied.
Thank you for rushing our frozen friend to us.
I never heard of SeaWorld studying things like frozen cavemen. That sounds more like a museum kind of thing, but whatever, it's an excuse to use an aquarium as a setting for an episode. The two prevailing suspects of the episode are Professor Wayne and Professor Engstrom, and while a mysterious figure thaws out the caveman, Dr. Engstrom goes out of his way to be as suspicious of a red herring as possible.
I'm going down to the dock. I have some research to do.
At the malt shop, while he eats an ice cube sandwich, Shaggy remembers he left his fishing reel at Ocean Land.
I just remembered I left my rotten reel at Ocean Land.
But why did he bring his fishing reel with him in the theme park? Was he trying to fish in the aquarium? The gang finds Ocean Land's Arctic room in ruins. The professor's missing, and that seemingly the caveman is thawed.
He's gone!
And is on the loose like a spooky Encino Man, and that it must have something to do with Engstrom's mysterious work communicating with dolphins, I guess. Scooby's Night with a Frozen Fright is a departure from most other episodes of the show in that it doesn't deal with a supposed supernatural entity prowling around, but instead a prehistoric human who's really mad and violent. Hanna-Barbera has a long history of caveman characters, from its first big success on television with the Flintstones to the more eclectic Captain Caveman and the Teen Angels. But casting a regular caveman as a Scooby villain who just seems to really want to beat the Scooby Gang to death with a club is an interesting choice. In that way, the caveman is scarier than a typical Scooby villain in that he's arguably more likely to be real. A caveman thawing out and going on a rampage is unlikely, but it's more likely to happen than the ghost of an alien haunting an Air Force base. These are unlikely scenarios, but some are just more unlikely than others. We at least have proof cavemen existed. Realistically, if a caveman was thawed out, it maybe wouldn't try to kill everything in sight and might be overwhelmed by the modern world, but this caveman might have just been a jerk before he froze. Ocean Land may have been better served for a more aquatic-themed villain, but it's still really well utilized for gags involving the creatures inhabiting the park, who are in some ways more of a threat than the 2-million-year-old caveman.
Shaggy, Scooby, are you alright?
Thelma just slides into the frame. It's like she's riding an invisible Segway.
Like what is it?
An ocean chart.
Thelma discovers a sea chart that might lead to some answers, so Shaggy, Velma, and Scooby are sent out to uncover them, while Fred and Daphne hang back to look for the caveman.
Meanwhile, Daphne and I will try and find out what the caveman's up to.
Yeah, I'm sure that's exactly what they'll be doing.
A spooky old fishing boat.
And it's anchored where the X is marked on the chart.
Aboard a ship marked on the map, the trio discovers an ice block making machine, but the trio gets locked up with the ice piling up.
We haven't much time. Somebody better think of something fast.
Here's where things get really insane. When trying to bash the door down with a block of ice, Scooby slips and the ice hits the door with so much force that it bashes through the keyhole, creating a key in the process that the trio uses to get out. Just wow, no way!
Lucky that key worked.
To try to lure the caveman into a trap, Shaggy and Scooby for some reason feel the need to disguise themselves as fish, taking the bait metaphor a little too literally. But Daphne's lack of self-preservation ruins things like usual, initiating a chase sequence to the tune of an Austin Roberts number, in this case 7 days a week.
7 days a week now. 7 days a week.
which is honestly a pretty good song. The lyrics aren't bizarre like some second season songs, and it's got a good beat accompanying some great visual gags.
Since Monday morning, I've been dreaming about you.
The problem with the song is that it doesn't have anything to do with being chased by a caveman unless the gang thinks about him 7 days a week. Ultimately, the caveman gets bitten by a giant clam and is revealed to be Professor Wayne.
It's Professor Wayne!
And Wayne's extremely convoluted plan is laid bare.
But why did he do it?
Wayne heard about the real caveman being lost at sea, so the professor crafted a fake frozen caveman that he sent adrift into the ocean. When the fake caveman was taken to ocean land, Wayne thawed the fake caveman out, and this isn't directly stated, but it's assumed that Wayne planned to kill his associate Professor Engstrom in order to steal credit for Engstrom's invention.
A revolutionary marine life communicator.
Pinning the crime on an escaped, thawed-out caveman. I don't even know how you begin to come up with a criminal plan this insane and complicated, and it was contingent on a frozen caveman falling off a ship. What kind of scheme would Wayne have crafted otherwise?
It would have been mine if it hadn't been for those meddling kids.
The gang is allowed to keep key evidence for some reason, and with the caveman costume, Scooby finally has a dance partner at the malt shop, but the episode concludes without ever addressing what happened to the real frozen caveman that was lost at the start of the episode.
That wraps up this mystery. Let's head for the malt shop.
I wouldn't say the mystery is really wrapped up, but whatever. What I want to know is, where's the caveman?
What I want to know is where's the caveman?
Scooby's Night with a Frozen Fright is definitely a fun episode, and it's lived on through memes. It feels almost like a self-parody of Scooby-Doo, with a bizarre villain with very unlikely motivations, and the gang getting out of deadly situations by even more unlikely means. And I can't say it's one of my favorite episodes for this. This episode honestly ranks really low for me, but as it's become clear by now, I don't dislike any episode of Scooby-Doo Where Are You? Some are just better than others, and this episode really demonstrates that. I give Scooby's Night with a Frozen Fright 2.5 boxes of Scooby snacks out of 5.
Let's head for the malt shop.
Before I go, I want to give a shout out to this video's sponsor, me. Pledge to my Patreon today to support the channel, and you'll also get access to weekly movie nights every Sunday and archive commentaries if you miss the movie nights live. Just $5 a month to get a movie night every week. Here are the movies I'll be streaming next Sunday. Pledge to patreon.com/Dr. Wolfula if you're interested in my bonus streams, and I thank you in advance. If you liked this video, like it, and if you loved it, click the subscribe and bell buttons for more videos. I'd also like to thank these fine folks pledged to my shoutout tier on my Patreon for all of their kind support. Videos like this wouldn't be possible without all their help. Thank you for watching, see you next time. Doc signing out.